have with us some executives of the Unilag Masscom Alumni Association. They're here to discuss the forthcoming Distinguished Lecture Series. Vincent Oyo is president of, is it UMCAA you call it?
UMCAA.
UMCAA, as well as Lekon Shote, who is treasurer. I like the combination. Thank you for coming here, gentlemen. So the president is here and the money man is here. Great. So where do we begin to spend the money? Let me begin with you. Mr. Shote, thanks for, beg your pardon, Mr. Oyo. This is the 14th edition.
Fourth.
Oh, beg your pardon, fourth edition. Maybe I'm looking 10 years ahead already.
Thank you very much.
Maybe you need to put on your glasses.
For being very ambitious on our behalf.
You see? I'm being ambitious.
Right.
Come on.
Right. You will still be going 14 years, 10 years from now.
But for starters, so those who may be hearing about the UMCAA Distinguished Lecture Series for the first time, tell us about it.
Well, first, what is UMCAA? It means University of Lagos Masscom Alumni Association, to which the chairman of Channels is also a member. And how do we impact society? As journalists, as trained journalists, we are told that we are agenda setters. And so this is one of the efforts.
You said we are told.
Yes.
Are you?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
Please.
You know. By the way, I'm a columnist, I write for Punch.
Okay.
So I engage in things like this. And this is one of the efforts to set agenda. And we've done it. Incidentally, also, the maiden edition lecture was presented by your chairman also, Mr. John Momo. And we think we need to be talking to Nigerians, especially with the kind of situation we find ourselves right now. Since I was listening to you while we were in the reception. There's insecurity. The economy is not too good. And then even the guests you had, they were talking about an agenda, which is reproductive issues and all that. You know. And I think, so that's essentially what the DLS is all about. We get somebody who is, who is knowledgeable about his subject, and then we get him to talk to us. And then we have some panelists who will sit down and think through what he has said and respond, try to expand his thoughts.
Okay,
so that,
Mr. Oyo, what is the topic for this year?
This year, we're looking at the subject of leadership and communication with the youth. Because we are now looking at...
the issue of leadership comes up again.
Yes, the anniversary of the NSAS, this thing, and NSAS debacle that took place last year. And we are looking at that subject matter not necessarily because we want to apportion blame, so we're examining it from the point of view of, as I said, an agenda-setting organization and looking for solutions. And so when we choose these topics, we look for experts, we look for advocates who can examine the issues critically and begin to look at how we can find solutions to them. This year, for this particular edition, we are going ahead. There's something that is very, very important as far as this year's edition is concerned, which is that we instituted an entrepreneurship initiative.
My apologies.
Yeah,
I'll come to it.
Okay.
I've seen it,
okay.
and I think it's amazing. It's fantastic.
Okay.
But I'd like us to explore that topic a little deeper.
Okay.
Youth leadership, and then communication. From my experience,
yeah,
and the the advanced information and experience that you have given us, those of you who have gone ahead of us in the communication industry, there seems to be a challenge with communicating with the youths. Why is that? I mean, it wasn't like that when you were growing up, for instance. Well, it was like that, but I mean, somehow your parents were able to talk to you in a language you understood, your language, the language of the day.
Yeah.
Today, it seems it's difficult, if not almost impossible, to be able to communicate with the youth appropriately. Consequently, the gap in even reaching them between what we now know as Nigeria and Niger. How did we get there, and how do you see us reversing it?
I think we got there because we did not transition properly from the way that it used to be in our times to where we are today, where technologies and things have taken over. We also adopted, in the adoption of the various cultures from other parts of the world, we also did not take a look at our own system. What do I mean? When we're growing up and you are with your parents and visitors coming, you disappear, all right?
Maybe because there was no TV then.
Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, there was no TV, but...
No, even if you are watching TV,
yes.
you have to get up and go.
You still had to leave. The TVs came in the 60s and all of that, you know, and we were there there were telephones, but you disappeared. And your mother could talk to you with her eyes. And all of that.
Now they'll be asking you, Mommy, what is wrong with you?
What is wrong with your eyes?
Okay, so, you know, and as I said, we didn't transition properly. So we started living in flats and all of that. Your neighbor you may not see your neighbor in the next 3 months and all of that. Then we got to the situation where your parents started telling you, don't talk to strangers and all of that. All those kinds of things. Whereas my grandmother says to me, when somebody is older than you, you see an elderly person, greet the person, because he might or she might be able to tell you about something that is ahead of you or in front of you. So that for me was important. An incident that happened, I remember somewhere in the UK. I got to a lift. I met a young lady there and I said, good evening, just before we're both going in. And she says to me, I don't talk to strangers, you know, and all of that.
In the UK?
Yes, so I kept quiet. We both got into the lift. At that point, I chose to be mischievous. So we got up to the 14th floor and she was supposed to come down. And so as she was getting out, I said, good night. And she screamed. And I was wondering. So okay. So what should have happened, I think, is the question. So in the adoption of some of those cultures, we should not have allowed
Hours,
yes.
to be subsumed.
Yes, to be subsumed.
Well, now you can speak to that entrepreneurship competition that you talked about.
Okay. So here we are. We are talking about, I mean, the previous discussions, especially when you were taking on the economic issues. 70% of our youths, 70% of our population is actually our youths. Unemployment, perhaps 30, 40%. I don't know what the figures are, but it's close to that. The jobs are not there. So they themselves must begin to look inwards. Again, back in the day, remember, you had to go to the farm. 7 or 8 children in the house, you go to the farm and all that.
IT students automatically.
Okay. All right. So you learn something. So the thing to do, therefore, is to get back to what can you do for yourself if you get the right kind of support.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Shote, has their education prepared them for entrepreneurship?
That's a very good question. When we were in J school, in journalism school, we had to go out for the long back to for IT. I've forgotten the word we used to call it. It wasn't IT. It was vac job.
Vac job, yes.
Attachment or
Yeah.
something?
No, it was vac job.
Vac job, yes.
You know, attachment or IT makes it look as if you are just in training. Vac job is like you are earning. So
Yes.
the orientation is that you are earning an income. I work with Daily Times. I work with Tribune. And so I had an idea that I was working to earn something. My father was an industrialist. He used to manufacture lace, textiles. And I recall that they would take me, and he had a big store at Tinubu Square in Lagos. And I was in Unilag. When I'm asking for my school fees, my father would give me some lace materials
To go and sell.
to go and sell.
You earn your keep.
Yes, and the only thing that was guaranteed was money for my textbooks and money for my pocket money. But my school fees, I had to. It was 30 naira per semester, but I had to earn it. If I didn't make up to that, that is 30, that's 90. If I didn't make it, then he will augment. If I made it, okay, the money, but even if I didn't make it, it means that at least you have worked, you know. So these things has to start from the home and from the school. And then, again, I went to Mayflower Primary School. Yes. I recall that the house, official residence of our headmaster, we built it. I remember making blocks as a 10-year-old, 9-year-old, making blocks, you know. But things have sort of changed these days.
Yeah, but
now.
for a 10-year-old, that would have been great excitement.
I was excited. They enlist you in the carpentry club, plumbing club, electrical club. We did stuff. In primary school, you had 5 ridges. One for yam, one for groundnut, one for maize, one for cassava. And then you had one bed for pepper, tomatoes, they call vegetable, something flower bed or something like that. So you had that. So we grew up, and then of course you had morning job that you are going to do. And then from the proceeds of the farm, we had
employment.
Food. Yeah. So we had the orientation, and so that's a school now, in addition to what we got in secondary school. I think somehow that changed. Some students, some parents would then go to the school and cut the hair of the school teacher who asked their daughters not to make their hair. And so everything became unruly. And you know, in any case, you were talking about how did we get to where we are. The world is flat. And just as the president has hinted, we are now no longer just Nigerians. We are, if you like, international. We may be living in Lagos, but we are off the world, if you understand what I'm saying. And then the digital economy. Access to a lot of information that parents don't even have an idea of what is going on. A lot of people, they have this Android phone now. A lot of they don't even know how to use.
Well, this conversation is definitely unending. But Prof, you beg your pardon.
Thanks.
maybe who knows whether you're able to.
No, he's the one who is heading for that.
Tell us about the features of this lecture and what is different this year.
Well, the feature is the fact that this year, because of COVID, we are not as expectant as in terms of the number of what the attendance will be. So obviously we'll be looking at the fact that there are certain people who would be, because we're looking at the world now. I mean, our members are strewn all over the world who will be able to join us virtually. The students, some students of UNILAG are still there doing their exams and all of that.
Okay. Well, this is your flyer, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so who's your guest speaker?
Our guest speaker is Mr. Femi Falano. He will be examining the subject matter, and our chairman is, for the day, is the former president himself, Chief Losin Omokodion. Who was the... Okay.
And who are those three?
They will be the people, the
panelists.
The panelists, yes.
Okay. Right.
Leko Tufodurin or Fred Okwa and the lady.
Okay. Well, of course, the venue is...
It's the GF Ajayi
main auditorium.
Okay. When is this happening?
On the 30th.
Okay, next week, Thursday.
Next week, Thursday.
Okay.
Yes.
Next week, Thursday?
Yes.
It's just a few days away.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the time would be...
11 a.m.
11 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's virtual. Is it virtual
It's
and
both.
physical?
It's both.
Physical and virtual.
Okay.
We did that because, just as he has hinted, some of us are in Australia, some in America, some in South Africa. They will not be able to, and they would like to participate. They want to know what is going on. And of course, we are aware of the COVID protocols.
It's only for your members, right?
No. It's for, the subject is for every Nigerian.
Every Nigerian.
So any Nigerian who wants
any Nigerian
can join
who
you.
wants can join.
How do they get the link?
It's actually
On the flyer?
on the flyer, and it's also on our platform. We are also engaged in other marketing activities to ensure that people are able to catch up with it.
So I assume there will be a YouTube. Okay, where?
Yes,
there's
there's a Zoom link,
on
yes.
Facebook.
Yes.
Okay, the information is right there on the flyer. Okay. Well, since there is going to be an entrepreneurial competition, I'm wondering how is that only for ex-UNILAG students or
No, it's for the current students.
The current students
Mass
of
communication.
Mass
Yes.
communication students.
Whether you are in year 1, year 2,
3.
and this year we had 20
contestants.
pitches for during the competition, and so the prize will be awarded to the.
What's the
best.
price?
Well, it's a modest sum of 0.5 million.
Wait a minute, that's modest.
It is for what you call startup. For a startup, yes.
Mr. Treasurer, that's modest.
Well,
a lot of money. It's just
obviously,
Well,
has
you
a
know,
lot of money.
inflation. We just heard somebody, Mr. Johnson of Cowrie Assets. Professor Uwaleke, who incidentally used to also be a columnist with the Punch, talking about 20% inflation rate. You know, so we we think that it could be more.
Okay.
But at least let's start from somewhere.
Yes, we're starting from there, and we're expecting that,
With time, you'll up
yes.
it. Okay.
Well, it's definitely a beginning.
And again, your chairman has been kind enough to support this effort.
We trained him well.
He's probably listening to you.
Let me add this, because I think you are hinting at why NSAS. NSAS.
I'm sorry, Mr. Shete. We could go on and on about it, but
Yeah.
we are completely out of time on this segment.
okay, no
We still have to take another one. Well, we have to thank you this morning for being a part of this conversation. Vincent Oyo is president of UMCAA, University of Lagos Mass Comm Alumni Association, as well as Lekon Shote, who is the treasurer of the association. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
for
much.
your time this morning. The Sunrise is back after now to take on the
Home stretch.
home stretch. Do stay with us.